Nobody can own a slave. Segregation is over. Jim Crow laws are obliterated. No children are working in coal mines or in textile mills. You see complete victory in each of these social movements. And we read about them in our textbooks, we see documentaries on television, we can see what victory looks like. And as we look at each of these movements, these themes keep arising. Their rhetoric, the images that they showed, the actions that they took, the sacrifices that the leaders and the foot soldiers made. What was their rhetoric like? It was oftentimes shrill. It was in your face. They would say things that made people very uncomfortable. The women's voting rights movement took the Declaration of Independence and basically took the words of the British out in King George and stuck in men and said that men were tyrants that were oppressing women, denying them the right to vote. Men like William Lloyd Garrison, probably the most famous abolitionist during the abolition period, used words that were highly offensive, that would brook no compromise. He did not say that he wanted simply a place at the table. He called for the immediate, unconditional, total abolition of slavery. The people who fought against child labor would use images of wealthy businessmen literally devouring, eating, cannibalizing the bodies of small children. Incredibly offensive images to the people of the time. When you see the images of the black and white photographs of slaves whose backs were blistered and scarred from being whipped, now we look at those as an artifact of history, but at the time they were incredibly offensive, especially to Southern slave owners. It became a criminal act to spread abolitionist literature in the Southern states. You literally could not send in the mail tracts and images and cartoons that called for the abolition of slavery. There were Southern states that were trying to have William Lloyd Garrison extradited to their state to be tried, where they would have executed him. So with these quick examples, we see images that were offensive. It was the images of the dogs biting the civil rights activists, the water cannons being turned on them, the police brutality that helped create the sympathy necessary for the political change, the policy change that was needed. We see the rhetoric shocking the conscience, offending the sensibilities of the hearers, but nevertheless planting the seeds of truth far enough down into the soul of individuals who make up the body politic, so that there was a change of policy. The same with child labor, the same with the abolition of slavery. And this goes all the way back to our American Revolution. You can look at the images, the political cartoons of the day, you can read the political flyers, and you see that when they called King George a tyrant, when Patrick Henry gave his treasonous speech, that the established powers were enraged, they were offended, they were troubled, they were disturbed. That's what a movement looks like. And that's what the pro-life movement used to be, used to have. But it's slowly dissipating. And I'm going to get to that when I get to the collaboration point. So the pro-life, pro-family movement, much of the religious right originated with some serious firepower in the 70s and in the 80s. Maybe even into the 90s with Operation Rescue and other groups that were having massive sit-ins at abortion mills. Some of you may have participated.